All systems
macht
online.
die Cyclops leider gar keinen Sinn.
Hey guys, welcome to a Subnautica guide on where to find your power cell charger blueprints or fragments in under 3 minutes. So when you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax. Start by heading to your spawn lifeboat and hop into your sea moth. Then start heading northwest. You're going to be moving northwest constantly until you reach the wreck. So for whatever reason, I still have loading issues in my game sometimes whenever I pause for a long period of time. Ignore areas or large environmental things loading in quite late. Now once you see the first mushroom forest biome to your left, ignore it and keep going northwest through the red grassy plateaus. Once you reach the wreck, be sure to check the outer side of the wreck first, as you can also find power cell charges on the outside. After checking the outside, you can actually enter the inside as well, and you should be able to find even more power cell charger fragments, at least 3 or 4 of them inside. You can curate your power cell charger by using your habitat builder with 2 rubies, 2 titanium and 1 advanced wire kit. This advanced...
Ja, ich bin halt viel zu tief, ne? Ich bin viel zu tief, warum hast du mir das nicht gesagt?
Noch nicht mal in deinen Stream-Chat drin.
Digga, ich war gestern die ganze Zeit hier und du hast nichts gesagt. Das Rack, wo das Ding drauf ist einfach in der Luft. Also, das ist einfach... Also nicht in der Luft, aber so above trees. Es sucht die ganze Zeit so den Boden von der Scheiße ab, mit 300 Meter Tiefe. Der Typ ist gerade mal 115 Meter Tiefe. Ich suche wie so ein Spasticus Analicus nach gar nichts. Okay, ja, das ist zu hoch. Wie gesagt, weiter hier. Und das Shipwreck ist so auf den Pilzdingern drauf, so oben drauf. Weil irgendwie die Pilz so stark ist die Woche.
Digga, es gibt immer mehr Drama über fucking Euphoria, Bruder. Es geht jetzt schon wieder ab.
Haben die denn gesagt?
Blind of integral break in silence about his experience with new furry, I thought I should share some things that have deeply troubled me over years about my experience with new furry in public voice. A serious concern about what she's been doing. New furry has disingenuously self-identified as the inventor of hypertrans for years, both via her social media presence and her community pillars, record label, Discord server, etc. This has largely influenced the public perception of hypertrans as something that belongs to euphoria. In conversations, she's even referred to it as her own. This perception, hier ist ein Strich, has even scaled beyond our community, with a notable example being Mike_Sunday on Instagram describing hypertrans as a furry's label rather than using the genre. In a viral video, this is exactly what Newfound wants. She has been working tirelessly towards for years under the guise of building community. Link to the video mentioned. Let me be clear about this. Hypertrans is a musical genre owned by anyone, cannot be invented by any single person. Music genres are collective, intellectual property. A genre is the sum of all of its parts, genres, and dynamics. The dynamic styles develop, adapt, and are evolves. Hypertrans is everyone involved, everyone making music, celebrating the art. Euphoриa's blatant attempts to lay claim to hypertrans, rebranding her individual artist record FK Forland.
Start by heading to your spawn.
Community server to the Hypertrans community.
Then start
And promoting it as the Hypertrans
You're going
community.
to be moving north.
Launching a record label called the literal name of the genre itself. Falsely self-identifying as the inventor of the genre as a media by platform for
Then starts in northwest.
other references that focus privately for the expressed to another council intention to trademark the word hyperfast. Which I told you was wrong to do it. It's actually not even legal. Usually express the feelings of ownership over hypertrans as a whole.
Start by heading to your spawn line.
You already tried to change the terms of my Hypertrans 1, Hypertrans 2 agreements, essentially reducing my split years after the publications were released. Where I pushed back, she threatened to have at least take it down if I didn't sign the declared legal. The reality of the situation is that Usury was not the first to coin the term hypertrans in a genre context. Funny enough, the person and for someone actually with my debut track, Ethereum, released in January 2020. Usury's first hypertrans track was Eternal Spring Harmony, not known as just Hypertrans, released on April 16, 2021. But as we learned from Anima Cyrus's post, some of her early work appears to be stolen from smaller artists. Usually even credited me as an individual who coined the term during our Hypertrans 2 compilation promotion campaign. That's when I started to observe Usury's mindset shift into controlling Hypertrans rather than enabling it. Even though I was first, I would never call myself the inventor of any genre, and I think it speaks to Usury's character that they have gone to such lengths to brand themselves as such. Furthermore, I had a serious conversation with Usury about exactly this, where she admitted the fault and the damage it caused. She has since announced that her label efforts in Hypertrans would be rebooting. To me, this indicates that the apology was hollow, and she hasn't adjusted anything since that conversation. I've been concerned with this behavior for several years now. I've felt that it's gone unchecked for too long. Hypertrans is not obligatory and shouldn't be presented or sold like it is. It belongs to the community. If someone tries to name their record label dubstep, would that fly? If someone tried to trademark the word dubstep, would we roll over and let that happen? I don't fucking hope not. And so is this any different?
So for what
There's a way to be community oriented. What she's been is not that.
ignore
The damage she's caused to her community is substantial. My story is one of many and will likely won't be the last.
and keep getting northwest really
I feel it was imperative to share this with the community so they also know who they're dealing with and to avoid further harm.
After checking the outside, you can actually
Then wir
find even more
Screenshots von Chats.
3 or 4 of them inside. You can curate your powers
Diggi, ich will das erst nicht durchlesen.
2 rupees, 2 titanium, and 1 advanced wiring kit. This advanced wiring kit requires a computer chip, a regular wiring, and 2 pieces of gold. And with that being said, I hope this guide helped you guys out. If it did, please leave a like down below, and maybe even consider subscribing. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Subnautica. So for this one, we're going to be looking at getting the power cell charger fragments. Real Western allows you to power those power cells, backlight policy, non-pros, ultimately close. So where we're currently central, give or take 40 meters or so. So it could have never been. A few
Ich hab's gefunden. Du hast mich sowas von falsch geschickt, Bro. Du hast mich nur auf East geschickt. Du hast mich nur auf East geschickt. Das Ding steht einfach in Nordwest.
Digga, das Ding kann auch an mehreren Orten spawnen.
Ja, das
Passing
ist das
100
Rack
meters.
tatsächlich.
Oxygen efficiency decreased.
Ach Mann.
Power Cell Charger Fragments. Ach, was 1, 2, 3. Drei von 2.
New blueprint acquired.
Ist das hier ein Teil von der Aurora? Oder
Ja.
so, fahren wir unser U-Boot zurück? Jetzt gibt's aber Happer für den.
Irgendwas Spaß, Digi.
Was?
Jetzt hast du nicht so richtig geil ausstreckst, Diggi. Du musst so natürlich das ins Zaun klappen, weil sonst ist der ganze Körper etwas ausgestreckt. Viel Spaß.
Viel Spaß.
Viel Spaß.
Passing 100 meters. Oxygen efficiency decreased.
Captain, all systems online. Engine powering up. Engine powering down.
All systems online. Welcome aboard, Captain. systems online. All systems online.
Engine powering up. Engine powering down.
All systems online.
Passing 100 meters. Oxygen efficiency decreased. Integrating new PDA data.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Passing 100 meters. Oxygen efficiency decreased.
Engine powering up.
Hey everyone, here I'm going to find all the glass, lubricant, Stumpy West is around really work on the Cyclops here. Get in, which you can see from my inventory over to Container, the Xbox, and there are got a prawn suit here that we can do that. Maybe it helps, but I want to talk about some of the other areas that you've got on the ship. First of all, this here shows the health of the Cyclops, so you can see that the health is all looking good. But if there is a problem, if there's something attached to your ship or beasties or whatever attacking it, you'll see this health bar will go down and then you're starting to get into trouble. I might navigate off and see if we can get into some trouble just to show you how that works. So over here, you can change the submarine name if you wish. So you can click on here to edit and give it a name. Otherwise, it will just be known as Cyclops. You can also change the colors here, and that'll change the core colors of the Cyclops if you so wish. This toggles the internal lighting on and off. So if it's off, you can still see slightly. Obviously, this uses power, which we'll talk about in a minute. And you can also toggle the external floodlights on and off. Personally, I find these don't do a great deal of benefit, but you can put them on if you so wish. Oh, I need some fluid. It just so happens that I've got some trees that I've manually added to this that I could use for a bit of fluid. So I'll just chop one of these here, drink that. Just as well.
All systems online.
We'll talk about tips for adding this, but let's just add a bit of water. If you're interested in the bulbo tree, I think I'll do a separate little video on it. Never mind. Right, so getting back to where we were. So that's standard, what we've got there. We'll move through the ship now. This is actually stuff that I've added, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. This is built into the tool, and what you can do with the Cyclops is dock a vehicle, and it's very useful for carrying a prawn suit around. So when you get a prawn suit, the prawn suit is awesome for exploring deeper in the game and also mining very useful materials. So you can get very big sort of deposits that can't be just collected or chipped away. So unlike the simple hunger stone, there are massive blocks of stuff that you can sort of drill away with a prawn suit if you've got the drill arm attached to the prawn suit. So when we're in this area here, I can access the upgrades to the prawn suit. So I can see this particular prawn suit has a variety of upgrades: Mark II depth module, storage module, another storage module, a drill arm. I can also adjust these or take them out. So you can see I can hit A to unequip. I'm not sure if the storage modules stack. I think they do, but I might be wrong on that. The other thing I can do is access the storage module here. So my prawn suit, you can see I've got a bit of titanium, a bit of crystalline sulfur and quartz. If I want to grab any of these, just like an ordinary locker, I just right trigger to grab these out of the prawn suit like so. So it's quite cool that once that's docked, we're all good. I will come back to the prawn suit. We will explore that in just a minute. That is something I added separately, which I will talk about. This is the decoy launcher. You can create decoys using a modification station, which I'll talk about in just a minute. Decoys are useful if something big attacks the Cyclops. You can fire out a decoy and hopefully the monster will go after the decoy rather than your Cyclops. If we come back to here, this is the Cyclops upgrade fabricator. This is where you can fabricate specific upgrades for the Cyclops. So if we have a little look, you can create the depth module Mark I. This enables the Cyclops to go a bit deeper, requires those components that we can see there. Cyclops engine efficiency module. This will improve the engine efficiency, which is highly recommended because the Cyclops munches power. You can have a shield generator. This is quite useful for, there's lots of little things that suck onto the ship and it will steal power away from the ship. Firing this on now and again will zap them off of the ship and save you having to manually go out and remove them. This is a sonar upgrade. This is incredibly important. This basically enables you to fire out sonar and see more of your surroundings. This is very useful when you're going deeper and it's dark outside. This really helps you navigate much easier. The docking bay repair module helps repair any vehicles docked inside the Cyclops. So you could opt to dock, I believe, a Seamoth in there instead of the prawn suit, but personally I find the prawn suit more useful. Fire suppression system is worth having a little look at. If creatures attack the Cyclops or it gets too damaged, it can catch on fire. or if you burn the motor too hard, again, a fire can start and the fire suppression system can help contain the fire and get rid of it, which is very important. Decoy tube upgrade. So you may have seen we can apply one creature decoy at the minute. If we add this, we can increase the capacity of that decoy tube. And lastly, the thermal reactor module. This basically enables the Cyclops to recharge if you're in an area which is very hot. So as you go deeper inside, in Subnautica, you can sometimes find thermal vents that can help, that you can basically park near and gradually recharge the batteries inside the Cyclops. Let's come back out of here. These are your power cells that are required to power the Cyclops. There are 6 of them, and we can take them in or out by just going here, and then I can either swap them or unload a power cell. So I'm using the left stick to move around. So I've pulled that one out. If I want to put a power source in there, I can hit A and chuck in a power cell again. So you can see this one is saying that one's got charge of 100%, 100%, 100%. So I think I recently changed these. You'll see these will drop down fairly quickly. This is just the rear of the Cyclops going back to the screw at the back of the Cyclops, which generates it. So as if we turn on the engine, they start spinning around. If we go to the other side, we've got our other power cells here. Let's chuck in a power cell here. So we've got all 6 now filled. The Cyclops will work with without some of these power cells in there. So if you haven't got 6, you can still use it. This talks about the upgrades and how much energy we've got. You can see we've almost got full energy. We've got full health, so all is good. And this is where we add our upgrades. So if we build an upgrade, we can add it here by pressing A. And similar to what we saw with the prawn suit, we can apply them or unequip them here. So you can see I've got a depth module Mark 3, so I can increase diving depth to maximum, engine efficiency module, sonar upgrade, and a thermal reactor module. So I've got a few things added there. So we're nearly there. A couple of other things to point out. Fire extinguishers. You can see there's some dotted around the Cyclops. You can grab these to put out fires. Can be rather useful on the Cyclops. And you do have a bit of space to add additional components. So if you've got the habitat builder, you can apply stuff if you've discovered it. Things I would recommend is a bed, so you can sleep on the Cyclops because you're likely to be exploring quite far. I also recommend that you add some plant pots with some bulbo trees in. The reason for this is, again, you can be quite far away, and if you've got bulbo, and you do upgrade. So if we build an around, so I've pulled that one out. If I want to put a power source in there, I can hit A and chuck in a power cell again. So you can see this one is saying that one's got charge of 100% round. Creature decoy at the minute. If we add this, we can increase the capacity of that decoy tube. And lastly, the thermal reactor module. This basically enables the Cyclops to recharge if you're in an area which is very hot. So as you go deeper inside, in Subnautica, you can sometimes find thermal vents that can help, that you can basically park near and gradually recharge the batteries inside the Cyclops. Let's come back out of here. These are your power cells that are required to power the Cyclops. There are 6 of them, and we can take them in or out by just going here, and then I can either swap them or unload a power cell. So I'm using the left stick to move around. So I've pulled that one out. If I want to put a power source in there, I can hit A and chuck in a power cell again. So you can see this one is saying that one's got charge of 100%, 100%, 100%. So I think I recently changed these. You'll see these will drop down fairly quickly. This is just the rear of the Cyclops going back to the screw at the back of the Cyclops, which generates it. So as if we turn on the engine, they start spinning around. If we go to the other side, we've got our other power cells here. Let's chuck in a power cell here. So we've got all 6 now filled. The Cyclops will work with without some of these power cells in there. So if you haven't got 6, you can still use it. This talks about the upgrades and how much energy we've got. You can see we've almost got full energy. We've got full health, so all is good. And this is where we add our upgrades. So if we build an upgrade, we can add it here by pressing A. And similar to what we saw with the prawn suit, we can apply them or unequip them here. So you can see I've got a depth module Mark 3, so I can increase diving depth to maximum, engine efficiency module, sonar upgrade, and a thermal reactor module. So I've got a few things added there. So we're nearly there. A couple of other things to point out. Fire extinguishers. You can see there's some dotted around the Cyclops. You can grab these to put out fires. Can be rather useful on the Cyclops. And you do have a bit of space to add additional components. So if you've got the habitat builder, You can apply stuff if you've discovered it. Things I would recommend is a bed, so you can sleep on the Cyclops because you're likely to be exploring quite far. I also recommend that you add some plant pots with some bulbo trees in. The reason for this is, again, you can be quite far away. If you've got bulbo trees, at least you've got a good source of food and water on site, because they give you food and water, as you can see here. So they are very useful to have. And just remember not to eat the entire bulbo tree. Get to replant things, otherwise you're in trouble. I don't think you've got enough room for a big interior grow bed, so that's why I've gone with these little plant pots here. Storage lockers, I've gone for the larger storage lockers because you've got space here, like you can see here. And again, as you're exploring, you're likely to pick up loads of stuff. So having a multitude of lockers on board the Cyclops is very wise as well. The other thing that I've got on board is a modification station, because this you can use to upgrade modules. Now, the Cyclops Mark 1 you could do on the other station, but you can see you can upgrade to Mark 2 and Mark 3 here. To do that, you need to take the Mark 1 module and also add these other things to upgrade it. You also want to be very careful where you pull the depth module out of the system, because if you're down deep, you can do serious damage to the Cyclops module if you then lose its depth resistance. So that's something to point out as well. So I put a modification station on. I also put in a fabricator so I can fabricate basic equipment. What I've basically created here, as you can see, is a fairly simple movable base, and that's what the Cyclops is all about. So let's just close this and have a little look at how this baby operates. This is about the hardest thing with the sub, because it is so big and cumbersome. Let's put that knife away. I'm not a crazy person here, do we? So let's hit A to pilot the sub. And what it will immediately point you to is what our depth is at the minute, what our power's like, and other things on here, so I can control my cameras here. This first one here, I move the right stick, and then I press A, and then I can cycle through the cameras. This one is the keel camera, which is this one here. Typical, it's dark. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to sleep so we can see a bit better outside. So let's go, you can see why the bed is useful. So we'll just sleep. There we go. Now, I warned you that the Cyclops punches power. So one thing you want to do, ideally, before you start exploring is have an absolute ton of power cells on board, so you can change them through frequently. Later on in the game, you get a more powerful power cell. I won't spoil how you get it or where you get it, but when you get that, you can... the sort of power consumption of the Cyclops is much easier to handle. But until you get that, you want to have a good bank of power cells, or stay nearby your main base and have some power cell charges so you can charge your power cells back on base. Right, so pilot sub, press A. First thing is the cameras. So if you hit the camera one there, we can cycle through using the D-pad left and right through our different cameras. So we have the conning tower, the screw, the keel. Personally, I think the keel is very useful. This is just below the Cyclops, and because this thing is so big, this one I find very useful to see where we are going. Okay, if you want, you can toggle on the camera light on or off. You can see it doesn't make a great deal of difference in daylight, but there's an option there to toggle it on and off. You can see down the bottom right, there's a little option there that shows you where your camera is. Oh, I know, it doesn't really seem to do it. I'm telling Polkies there. Doesn't really seem to make a difference, but that keel one I think is the most useful. Right trigger to exit, so we're back in this main view here. We've got the rig for silent running. This one is quite useful if you're going down deep and there's lots of horrible things floating about. This will make the Cyclops run that little bit quieter. It uses a bit more power, I believe, but it's useful to have. If I had a decoy, it would show here that, and I can release that decoy from here, but I haven't got one. I released it on my last playthrough. And this one is very useful. This is activate the sonar if you've got that module added. I can also see my maximum depth. You can see I can go to a maximum of 1,700 meters. I can't remember what the Cyclops goes to a stand. I think it's about 800 or 900 meters. Upgrade the depth modules over time and you will get more stuff. So to power up the engine, we can't hit this. And there we go. And then we've got these three modes here. So we've got fast. And then when we're ready to go, we just push the left stick forwards or up, and things will go forwards. Now you can see it's really hard to see where on earth I am here because this thing is so big. So this is where those cameras are rather useful. So if I flick to the camera underneath, you can see this is a little bit easier for me to see what is going on. So let's go down a little bit deeper and I'll try and talk about some of these things. One thing you've got to really bear in mind is the size of this thing. It's huge. So you're not going to be able to go down to the same sort of areas that you can with a little sea moth. So harder to explore, deep caves and ravines and things like that. However, there are some places that this is very useful to act as a mobile base. So what I'm going to do is show you how the prawn suit works with this as well. Just so you can get an idea of how this works. This is where the keel is quite useful, so we can see roughly how deep we are, where the ocean floor is, and how this can all work. There's a little bit over there, which is a component that we can scan. I've got pretty much everything, but that's some of the components you can look at to find certain things. So when we're ready to come out of here, let's go here. Ring for silent running, like I say, that will make things a little bit quieter. So you might hear it slightly quieter. But I always put that on when I'm in a dodgy area where there's beasties that might attack the Cyclops. It will use a little bit more energy. This is the really cool mode. Let's activate the sonar. Check out how clear it makes things now, so I can see much better what is going on. Now this uses a lot more power, but it is very, very useful. So you can see even that small bit that I've moved, I'm already down to 93, 92, 91. So this silent running is really chomping things, as is the sonar. So if you don't need them, deactivate it, because they do use a lot of power. So you can see my power is now a lot happier. And if you're at a point where you think, you know what, I'm now going to explore with the prawn suit, power down the engine, and that's going to save a bit of energy as well. When you're ready to leave the controls, you hit B to exit. And now let's go and explore that prawn suit. So that was through here. And if we want to jump in the prawn suit, we open this hatch here and we enter the prawn. The prawn will then drop out at the bottom of the Cyclops, and then we are free to explore with our prawn suit as we see fit. Now, one thing to point out when you're exploring with the prawn suit is you don't want to have your Cyclops too far up above it, because it makes it very, very hard to jump back into the Cyclops. So I'll probably cover the prawn suit in a separate video. I'm holding down the left button to jump up here. But basically, to get back into the Cyclops, once you've done your exploring and you've found stuff that you want to harvest or collect, I suppose we should collect something, should we? Let's just find something to collect. So it's not completely pointless. You are also free to jump out of the prawn suit, but hit B, and then I could grab a scanner. Let me find a scanner. Have I got a scanner here? There's my scanner. Let's go with that. So if you find components like this is a CMOD fragment. I've scanned that, and now that's safe, but I already have that fragment, so it made no difference to me. So back in the prawn suit, I can do with collecting something. That's fine. Surely there's something. There we go. So as I collect something like this quartz, I go up to it, right trigger. That's going to be added to the the prawn suit storage, and then to access this back on the Cyclops, I need to jump back up to it. So you can see the Cyclops is pretty high up. I've got to basically aim for those doors there. So I hold it down the left button, and then I've got to start trying to scoot forward here. If I miss it, I'm going to have to go down and try again. So you can see it's a bit of sort of jiggery pokery to do. So let's try again. There we go. And I'm in. So that's my prawn suit. That's how we do it. A couple of other things to point out is if the ship gets damaged, I hate damaging ships needlessly. It's just a little bit of damage.
Oh, ich mach die Charlotte Leute Stop in der Base, ich mache einfach 3 davon und dann jedes Mal, wenn ich wieder zurück zur Base komme, tue ich die einfach nicht aufladen.
Stark.
Weil ich habe auch...
Was nehme ich jetzt alles mit? Meinst du, ich kann Bildschirm in die Abi-Prüfung mit reinnehmen?
Boah. kannst du so zum Spaß auf den Tisch stellen. Und dass niemand dann sagt, ja, das hat bisschen, dass niemand stimmt.
Genau. Jetzt ist eine finale Kabel. Mauskabel. Schlüssel und I guess das war's übrigens.
Das müssen wir noch wissen, Digga. Das müssen wir.
Ich hab mal keinen Schlüssel.
Wie gesagt, bei mir sieht es wie ein Schimmer aus, wundert dich nicht. Ich bin ehrlich, Digga, ich bin depressed, ich hab keinen Bock, meine Mama ist gerade gestorben. Ich will einfach.
Ich weiß wegen Klinik bei dir, kein Spaß.
Wenn mich das stört, dann. Oh, Digga, ich hab das gerecht.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Welcome aboard, Captain. All systems online.
Okay, hast du so eine Sicherheitsklammer? Ja. Schade, ich brauche da so 4 Stück. Vielleicht wäre das schon.
All systems online.
100 meters. Oxygen efficiency decreased. Passing 100 meters. Oxygen efficiency decreased.
Update, ich habe keine Sicherheitskamera. Oh shit, das ist 7 und 10. Ich will ein Circuitboard an meinen Klamotten anmachen. Update, ich habe das fucking Circuitboard verloren. Gib mir eine Sekunde. Auf jeden Fall müssen wir jetzt bereit machen. Also, ich muss mich an der jetzt hier ist. Haben Sie verbaut, das ist nicht Names. Kennst du Sprache ist?
Passing 200 meters. Oxygen efficiency greatly decreased.
Subnautica Web am Post. Achso, okay. Ich weiß nicht, ob du es. Ja.
"30 seconds. New blueprint acquired. PRAWM Safety Instructions Appendix A14. Don't climb on or get off equipment while it's moving.
Boah, ich habe gerade Franks und Grappling Arm Fragment gefunden.
Geil.
1 und 2. 193 Meter Tiefe habe ich gerade mal das Werk gefunden. Kern habe ich schon.
Ja, low-key, ich weiß nicht, wo mein Stift ist. Auf jeden Fall eine Realization.
Ja, du musst halt gerade blicken, ne? Wie sehr ich Subnautica feiere, ne? Du musst dir vorstellen, Lego Batman ist gerade rausgekommen. Ich habe auf das Spiel, du weißt, sehr, sehr lange gewartet. Und anstatt Lego Batman jetzt durchzuzocken, ich zocke jetzt seit 2 Tagen durchgehend Subnautica. Nicht mal das Zeta Corsa oder irgendwas anderes, nein, die ganze Zeit wirklich nur dieses Game. Weil ich einfach nicht weg kann. Ich kann nicht weg. Ich kann es nicht ausmachen.
Jetzt stehst du, den ich die Subnautica Track gefallen habe.
Aber ich überlege mir gerade, ne, also eigentlich sollte ich gerade Batman spielen oder halt das Zeta Corsa für meine Mom. Aber ich bin dir ehrlich, ich habe gerade einfach nur Bock, das Gameplay zu zocken. Und ich weiß, dass ich halt noch genügend Zeit habe, um halt die anderen Games zu zocken. Deswegen
Zumindest hast du noch genug Zeit, Subnautica zu zocken.
ja.
Aber es ist einfach das bessere Game.
Raus und Grappling Arm Fragments. Das zweite habe ich jetzt auch gefunden. Der Grappling Arm habe ich jetzt schon. Hier ist nochmal eine zweite dieser Tür. Constant Propulsion Arm Fragment. Aber ich glaube, ich brauche diesen Bohrer, ne? Bohrer Fragment.
Ja. So, by the way, ne? Du kennst ja diese fucking vierbeinenden Fotos auf der Insel, ne?
Ja.
Dinge haben die Leichen der ganzen anderen Leute auch gefressen.
Ja, deswegen fick ich jedes Mal jeden Einzelnen, den ich sehe. Bringt die jedes Mal alle um. By the way, du hast so recht mit dieser Propulsion Can, ist das so einfach umzubringen. Zweites hier durch. Waterbox. Swim Charge. Was sind Swim Charge?
Wenn du schwimmst und lädt sich die Batterie von dem Gerät, was du in der Hand hältst.
Das ist doch geil.
Aber es ist mega, mega slow und du bist nicht so schnell wie die anderen Fins. Deswegen ich irgendwie.
Das ist noch eine Tür. Das Ding ist hier riesig. Hier ist der Exit. Oh, warte, lass mich kurz mal. Lass ihn mal verbringen.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Ich bin ehrlich, ich bin jetzt noch an dem Punkt, ich benutze halt den Seaglide sehr wenig tatsächlich. Meistens tue ich mir Taschenlampe und halt Lasercutter und Scanner. Am meisten tue ich da so irgendwie so arbeiten.
Ich glaube, ich habe echt noch nie eine Taschenlampe gemacht.
Ja, aber schau mal, wie dunkel es ist für mich.
Ja, und der Seaglide hat ja Licht. Weißt du? Deswegen halt redundant, oder warum nur Licht haben, wenn ich Licht und Speed haben kann.
Also die Fans sind eigentlich schnell genug, diese Ultra-Fans.
Oder du weißt, wie ich Apex, ja.
Ja.
Digga.
Ja.
Wait. Okay. Nur auf mein Cam. Okay, was für Digga.
Grüner Monster. Grüner Monster. Echt lange nicht mehr gesehen.
Aufwärts zu. Ich hab 20 Stunden gespielt.
Immer einen mit, ey. Ich hab den so lange nicht mehr getrunken. What the fuck, woher hast du den hingekriegt?
Hast du? Ja.
Ich könnte schwören, ich hab die gesucht, ich hab die nicht gefunden.
Ich will einen Monster. Wo bleiben die Dinger an uns? Ich fühle mich so, weil die Dinger werden nicht mehr hergestellt. Deswegen was? Also fucking. So 34 Euro mit Lieferung.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
40 Euro ist Ray.
24 Monster. Nee, wie viel sind wir? 12 oder 24? Ich glaube 12, ne?
Normalerweise sind da eigentlich 12 drin, ja.
Euro 30 pro Monster. Also ich Mauskabelprobleme. Mausraum. Ich glaube, die machen natürlich. Natürlich.
All systems online.
Captain, all systems online.
Ja, die haben nicht mehr so schwer. Ich mach PC aus.
All systems online.
habe gerade so hart genießt, dass ich jetzt den Schlaf in meinem Mund schmecke.
Ja, du.
Eigentlich nicht, dass
Reinforced Dive Suit, ne? Das wollte ich machen. Was kann ich jetzt damit?
Bates, was willst du das aushalten?
Mehr Wasser?
Bates.
All systems online.
Fingers.
All systems online.
Bist du in der Dusche?
Was?
Bist du in der Dusche?
Alles jetzt Bild gemacht, ja.
Aber heutzutage nein.
Nee.
Interesting.
Ich habe gehört, es gibt was effizient, also noch eine stärkere Pause. Also die Pause.
Ja,
All
Ich weiß
systems
nur noch nicht, wie
online.
man die bekommt.
Endgame, also das ist 8 Meter unter der Wasserüber. WG erfolgreich gepisst. Dann zur Erfahrung. Und dann heißt es ab in die Schule. Tag. Ich kann aber gleich anfangen, Team zu spillen, ne? So. Weißt du, gestern, ich hab dir gesagt, ja, geh pennen, ne? Hab mich hingelegt, die besten Ohr-Sounds ASMR angemacht, Eier gebaut mit Digi, bin pennen gegangen. Aber das Ding ist, wenn ich schlafe, ne? Wenn ich schlafe und Himmel nass, weißt du nicht, kannst du mich Meter einfach wecken und danach bin ich noch manchmal gar nichts. Ne? So. Meine Mom läuft bei mir rein, weckt mich als auf vom Schlaf, Digi. Und fragt mich, was ich zu essen haben will. Ne? In den letzten 3 Jahren noch nie passiert. Never. Und dann mach die Essen, Bruder. Ich chill dann wieder am PC, weil ich nicht mehr einschlafen kann. Ich chill am PC, Digi. Kommt die wieder rein. Mit Teller, ne? Frisches Essen, Brudi. Hot as fuck. Stellt Teller auf meine Hand. Ich fange an halt rumzuschreien, weil heißt ein Teller auf Hand und dann wird sie beleidigt.
Perfekt.
Und dann kommt die jetzt heute früh zu mir rein und sagt zu mir, ja, ich will auch gar nichts.
All systems online.
Pizzawisser und was weiß ich. Und dann sag ich, Digga, was habe ich jetzt schon wieder gemacht? Dann regt sie sich auf, weil ich nicht weiß, was ich gemacht habe. Dann sage ich, ist das jetzt wie gegessen oder was? Und dann fängt die an, sich hier rumzujassen über das basically nicht geworden ist.
Perfekt.
Ey, kleine Diggi. Ey, mach's auch. Safe.
Tot. Einfach tot.
Und weißt du, dann habe ich mir halt heute auch direkt überlegt, Mann, die haben es mit mir halt eigentlich richtig gut. Warte mal, bis meine 2 Geschwister in dem Alter kommen. So, was macht die dann? So, ich bin halt nie da und wenn ich da bin, dann zu Zeiten, wo sie halt schläft. Weißt du?
Captain. All systems online.
Ich bin eigentlich komplett aus dem Weg raus, ich hatte mit dir relativ einfach, Bruder. Warte mal, bis meine Schwester 20 ist. Bruder. Viel Spaß, Digga.
Engine powering up.
Ich nehme jetzt mal mein Pulli mit und nicht meine Jacke.
Aber Bro, das sind halt ihre Engel, weißt du. So, scheißegal, was die machen.
Ja, der Gegenwart war ich auch noch ihr Engel. Warte mal. Ich mache mir jetzt auf den Weg. Verstehe das. Ich würde sagen, viel Glück, aber ich glaube, Herr Fun ist eher angemessen.
Ist das angemessen?
Ich würde sagen, Wish me luck, aber ich glaube, Herr Fun ist angemessen.
Ja. War Englisch, Digga. Also. Ich glaube nicht, dass du da gedacht hast.
Mein Kaffee ist arschschwer. Viel Tag. Stark, Ding. Ich habe noch ein extra Worte vergessen.
So drauf.
Ja. Das heißt halt auch nicht mehr zurückgehen, sonst ist es zu spät.
Fokusgrößer.
Ja. Ich habe das jetzt die letzten Minuten gezogen. 2 Stunden Auto. Ich liebe schon den Bus.
Das Einzige, was die Franzosen richtig hingekriegt haben.
Engine powering down.
All systems online.
Passing 100 meters. Oxygen efficiency decreased.
Alright. Ich will nochmal auflegen, ja?
Jo,
Jo, bis später.
bis später.
Ciao.
Engine powering up. Engine powering down. Welcome aboard, Captain. All systems online. Engine powering up. Engine powering down.
All systems online. Welcome aboard, Captain.
control location uploaded to PDA.
Getting a tattoo of him. I was like, that's crazy. Try not to geek out too much. There has to be like a meter? Yeah. Where do you keep it at?